Welcome to Misha Madness and Motivation Podcast. This podcast is for anyone wanting to evolve in every aspect of their life. Do you want to be better and live life to your fullest potential? Tune in with your host, blogger, entrepreneur, and beauty executive, Misha.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Today I am joined with a very special guest, Amelia Zachary. She is from Kentucky, and today we are going to get into a well-needed conversation, and it is about mental health. But before we jump into the conversation, I just want to give our special guest some time to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about herself.
Hey, thanks so much, Misha. I am Amelia Zachary. I'm a writer and a blogger, and I'm currently working on a memoir on my life with bipolar and all other beautiful things in my chaotic, magical life. My life is rewarding. I have two beautiful daughters and an amazing husband. And I want to be here today because I want to be part of a conversation that will push normalizing mental illness in our society. Yes. I'm writing my memoir in hopes to bring light to the realities of mental illness, and hopefully that will give hope to those who are suffering from it.
Yes. So at what point were you diagnosed with bipolar disorder?
So we were talking about the stigma and taboo around talking about mental illness, right? I had no idea it was mental illness until I had gone into a lot of maladaptive behaviors, self-destructive behaviors, and suicidal ideation, which was when I realized something was seriously wrong. And my boyfriend at the time was supportive, who is now my husband.
Good, yes.
But at that point, he encouraged me and supported me through getting treatment, and that is when I got my diagnosis.
So you were an adult. Yes. And a lot of my listeners may not know, but my mother also suffered from bipolar disorder, and she didn't get diagnosed until she was 35 years old. And, speaking to my grandmother, she says, in hindsight, a lot of her behavior, it said, a mental disorder, bipolar, but it was so taboo, even me growing up, it's like everything was so hush hush and we're going to go to the doctor, but don't let anyone know if you are, what's going on.
You can't ask people for which doctor you want to go to a gynecologist. You can just go out there and say hey, anybody know a good gynecologist or a good dentist or a good general practitioner? But you can't go hey, do you have a psych doctor you go to or
Yes, and especially in the Black community, going to therapy is what? I'm not crazy. Nothing's wrong with me.
Yeah, that's right.
Seriously.
And people think there's this big misconception that if you have mental health issues, then you're a nutter or you're an invalid. You're unable to participate in society.
Yes.
And that's the big one, the first big misconception that I was going to talk about, that not people who have mental illness can't live normal lives. And
that's not true.
It's not true, because 1 in 5 Americans suffer from some kind of mental illness or neurological disorder.
Wow.
So if you think about that, 5 people you meet in a day, one of them are suffering from it, right?
Yes.
So it's a lot more prevalent than we think it is. And so so to say that it's not, that they can't live normal life is saying that everybody or a large portion of our population are not living normal lives.
Exactly.
And then I also take issue with the term normal. What is normal? What is normal? Really, there's no way for you to gauge a benchmark of everybody living in uniformity, because there's no way of knowing how anybody else lives.
Exactly.
Impossible.
Exactly. It's just people are going off of the social standard and what has been ingrained in us to be normal, textbook normal of, you get married, you work, you do this. And if you deviate from that, you're not normal. But
and
not
even
many
so,
follow that.
No, but even so, I went to college, I got a job.
Yes.
I got married, I had kids. But on the outside, this facade of high functioning facade does not mean that I'm not struggling on the inside. The struggle with mental illness, that's the dangerous part of it. It is internal and it's invisible.
Yeah. So you said that you had amazing support from your boyfriend, and I think that that's amazing because a lot of people don't really even know how to support a loved one if they're going through, something similar to your situation.
Yeah.
Do
And
you
that's exactly what I wanted to talk about too. Like I was lucky. I met him quite some time after I met him quite some time after I had been suffering from it. I found out that I was suffering from it retrospectively after the diagnosis.
Yes.
So that time that I was without diagnosis, I was on my own. And it is a very isolating experience because there's no one to talk to or no one you can tell or no one who understands what it is.
Yes. I'm
And
sure the understanding part.
And this is why these conversations are important, right? I was very excited to have this conversation because we need to normalize this. Yes. We need to talk about it as if it's diabetes or a heart disease.
Yes.
We need to talk about it as an actual medical condition.
Yes. Diabetes runs in my family, and we're always like, if we're feeling any type of way, it's like, oh my God, are you okay? Well, what are you feeling? Because diabetes, high blood pressure, it runs in our family. Are you going to go get it checked? But no one
you learn about it, you acknowledge it, you learn about it, and then you treat it.
Yes.
And you treat it the way any medical condition is treated. And there's no hush about what you should do or what you shouldn't do.
Exactly. People check their blood pressure in front of, So that is very, I don't know, it's crazy to me. And I say that because like the way that my family openly talks about like diabetes and stuff, and I'm sure that mental disorders can be genetic. So I feel that once one person in your family is diagnosed, or if you're feeling a certain way and you are diagnosed, I feel that it should be talked about because there's no way you're the only one suffering.
So this is the thing I'm sorry, one second.
No, you're good.
So in my culture, in my family culture, I can speak to, was a very we didn't talk about stuff like this. We didn't talk about emotions. We didn't talk about emotional instability. We didn't talk about all this intense stuff. And so there was no way we were going to say like something was not right. And so no one really got diagnosed with it. But bipolar, for me, has a genetic predisposition, but it did not present itself until I had a very traumatic experience.
So there was no way for you to know.
Yeah. So there's no way of telling like if you had it or not. But truly I've come to an understanding where it doesn't matter when you had it or why you had it. I mean, you have it. Yeah. Now what do we do with that? How do we move forward?
How do you cope? What are some things that have helped you?
Well, definitely treatment. I always recommend treatment because that has been incredibly useful. And so there's so many different kinds of treatment. People think that they'll give you a pill, you pop a pill, and you're supposed to be well.
Yes.
Well, for some people it works. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
Like what I'm doing is talk therapy and drug therapy.
Okay.
And that is not enough. Yes. Like outside of that, I'm also doing some other stuff to try and keep myself balanced and keep myself, because it's environmental and it's biological. Yeah. So the biological part I cannot help. So I don't know when it's coming. I don't know how long it's staying, how intense it's going to be. But what I can do is encourage an environment that's balanced for me.
Yes.
So I do stuff like I write. Of course, writing is the biggest release for me.
Yes.
And I write a lot. But also I meditate a lot. I go into my inner self, I believe in connecting with the inner truth and inner self.
Me too.
In order to find honesty in my life and like to live my life the path that it is and to accept that it is what it is.
And were you always into meditation?
Yes.
Yes? Oh, nice. Okay. Because I think that meditation is great, and I think it's so important to go within to just figure out what your inner voice is saying to you.
Yes, to
And
silence the noise.
yes,
Yeah.
a lot of people, because you know, meditation and being spiritual is now a very popular, trendy thing for people to get into, and a lot of people are like, I can't meditate. How do I even, you know, quiet the world around me? And so, do you have any advice for anyone to help them quiet their environment? Do you have a
So
lot of plans?
it's funny. People say, like, I mean, a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people, it works for different ways for different people, right? Some
Yes.
people like silence, absolute silence. Some people do the singing bowls, or some people do something. I listen to Celtic music. And I tune in to Celtic music, and I sit there and I listen and I zone into it. And then I start doing my mindful exercises, trying to feel my five senses. Where am I? What am I feeling? Where am I feeling? And then going deeper and deeper and deeper into what are my thoughts? Where is this coming from? What am I feeling? What is the truth in these thoughts? And what purpose does it serve me? And then it allows me to like segregate what's useful and what's not.
Yes. And also realize maybe too what is causing you to feel uneasy so that you can eliminate it. Or
yes,
yes,
which sometimes, like I said, environmental and biological, right? The environmental factors I can control.
Yes,
because those are things within my control. So take control of what you can and just be with what you cannot.
Yes. So I saw on your website that you said that your life and your relationships, bipolar basically it colors your life and your relationships, and you are a mother of two. So I just wondered, how was it when you first found out that you were pregnant, and how has motherhood been for you?
So that's exciting because we have been told that I shouldn't have children because I have bipolar.
Wow.
That I wouldn't be able to manage with children. And of course, my husband and I love children. And we decided that we've been supportive. He's been very supportive of me all this while. And we decided to give it a go. And I basically think that that doctor that gave that advice should really keep that advice to herself.
Should really retire, maybe, huh?
Probably.
Yes.
But I mean, it's been amazing. I went off my meds when I was on my first pregnancy because I wanted it to be healthy. I wanted my baby to have everything, and I thought it was going to be a struggle without the meds. But I kept checking in with my doctors. I kept doing all these other stuff that I was doing on the side. I kept doing all the things that I needed to do to make sure that it went well. And thankfully, in that first pregnancy, I was fine. My second pregnancy was an immense struggle because it came with a vengeance. Oh. And there were days that I couldn't get out, and I was sick, and I couldn't get out of bed, and I didn't want to do anything. No yoga, no mommy yoga, and no walks or nothing with my second child. But you know, in the end, what I find from all of this is you do what you need to do.
Yes.
And you do the best you can.
As being a mom.
That's right. You do the best that you can, and that's all you can do. And even now, our lifestyle is probably odd for other people. My children make their own breakfast. Oh, yeah. My children, on days that I'm out, I can't get out of bed, they can make their own lunch. They're 6 and 4, by the way.
Oh, awesome. Oh.
And that's the good part that's come from this.
Yes.
See, my children are empathetic, they are kind, they're responsible, they're independent. Yes. And all the wonderful things that you want to teach your kids, right? And this has taught them, this experience is not just what people pity. Sympathy is not what somebody is going through this once. This is not like something bad that's happened to me. It's an illness.
Right.
I have an illness, and it's not a fatal one.
And you're living with it.
I'm living with it. I'm going through with it. And so, like, saying that, I've lost my thought. Sorry. Oh, my children. So, like, they live this different life, and it's all very rewarding for all of us. On the
right,
days
and people may look and feel bad for them.
Yes.
And it's not the case.
No, it's not.
Seriously.
I'm growing strong women.
Yes, and you also you're running a business, the environmental business for your 6-year-old.
Yes.
Yes, how is that? How did that come about?
She is profoundly gifted.
Yes.
And so when she was 3, she saw a video of a turtle with the straw stuck in its nose.
Yes.
And she was bawling. She was upset. She's like, what is going on? Why are we doing this to the earth? We must do something. We have to do something. So she started her campaign and she got several restaurants to give up plastic straws.
Nice.
And she speaks to audiences in colleges. She's spoken,
Wow.
I think like twice at 3 times at the University of Kentucky, actually, to an audience of like different people talking about like activism.
See, and she's only 6.
She's only 6. Yes.
Seriously, man, that is nice. Congratulations to you, because I know that feels good.
It does feel wonderful. It's wonderful to be a mother to like somebody who's so driven and successful. But then again, when you look at it, right, I have mental illness and I can have a child that's thriving.
Yes.
And successful and an upstanding member of the community. Like she does community projects. Recently, I don't know, she raised like $5,000 to support different charities here that support to fight food insecurity.
Yes.
And like one of them is to immigrant and refugee and minority families because she felt sad for that.
Yes.
Like I'm bragging on my kid now.
Well, I asked.
But my point is, I'm functioning. This is the picture that people see outside. Like I'm a functioning mother. I'm a functioning member of society. I'm a functioning wife. I'm doing all these things. I'm high functioning. I'm doing all these extraordinary things too.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean, so to say that I have mental illness comes as a shocker to a lot of people.
I'm sure.
But it just means that I'm doing what you're doing, but I'm working twice as hard.
Yeah. And so on the days where, like you said, you're not able to get out of bed and you're not feeling well, what gets you out of bed on those days? I just
wait it out.
Yes. Tough it out.
I must say, I have the privilege of waiting it out because I don't have a job to go to.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's COVID, so maybe our listeners out there might have that privilege as well because of COVID. So
and this is what we've worked out. I mean, this is how our family operates. Everybody operates around my mental illness.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful because not a lot of people have that support, and then the people who aren't even sure of what they're going through mentally, like a lot of their support system or what would be their support system are looking at them like, why are they showing out? And they're always looking for attention and, oh, they're crazy, and they don't really understand.
This is the problem, right? No one talks about it. No one wants to say I have it and like this is what it looks like for me. I think if more and more people, that's why I want to do it. I want to be part of that conversation. More and more of us come out and say what it looks like to us because it has so many faces. Mine is only one and I can only speak to mine.
Yes.
And I can only speak to my coping mechanisms given the privileges that I have. I know a lot of people don't have that, don't have support or don't have access to healthcare and so many other things. So, but I want to share my story, hoping that people can get something out of it and to know that there is a way out.
Yes.
There is a way through it.
And there are people out there who will understand you. Are you a part of any support groups, like maybe on Facebook, or do you?
I don't. So I also have social anxiety.
Yes.
So I don't do well in groups. But
no, I understand. It's okay.
So I rely entirely on my treatment and my self practices at home. Another one of the things that I do, so sometimes my mind gets too fast. And when I get hypomanic states, which is a mix of low levels of mania and depression at the same time, they call those hypomanic episodes. When I'm in that, I tend to lose control of my mind. If that makes sense. There's a buzzing, there's noise.
Like an anxiety attack.
Kind
Not
of.
really.
Not
Okay.
really an it's just like I'm restless and my mind buzzes and I'm ringing my ears, or like I cannot process thoughts. I can't read anymore. I'll read a sentence and then go like, oh, I've read that again. Oh, didn't understand that. Read it again. It just doesn't process the way I need it to.
Yes.
And so we've tried different ways to like redirect those energies. Also in those times, I'm hyper focused. So we try and channel the hyper focus into creativity. And recently our latest projects have been building tables.
What kind of tables?
Like coffee tables. I'll show you. I'll show you. See mine?
Beautiful.
But yeah, I mean, like we've been doing little projects like that because building something takes time, takes methodology, takes a lot of thinking, problem solving. It takes up a lot of mind space. Yes. And so that helps me to focus on something. And hyper focus is my choice of flavor of all the things that can happen if I'm hypomanic. Mm-hmm. So I choose to be hyper focused because I have to choose something.
Yes.
It's all happening at the same time. But after years of treatment, I'm now able to recognize and sort of control some of it.
Now, how was it finding a doctor? Did you absolutely love your first doctor?
I love that you asked me that. I have a very good analogy given to me by my first therapist.
What is it?
So I was living in Japan when I met the therapist, and I was seeing him for the almost 2 years we were living there. And then when I moved to Canada, I had to find a new therapist. And then I found all sorts of therapists, the kind that like within 15 minutes told me that I had these 16 different kinds of disorders. And then the other one who wanted to put me on suicide watch. Or there was the one that said that I should never have babies.
Yeah.
Or all these crazy things. One that's prescribed me medication that I had adverse effects and didn't have time to see me again.
Oh no.
So I was crying to my first therapist because he still saw me for a short period of time to help me through getting another doctor.
Right.
And he said to me, if you were driving a car and the timing belt was going off and you drive it and you hear the dug, 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 and you would not be able to drive, you take it to a mechanic and then the mechanic fixes it. You drive it and you hear the dug, 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 dug again. And then what do? Do you just keep driving with that sound? Like, no, you find another mechanic. And
another one is the key, not the first one.
You keep looking for the mechanic that's going to fix the problem.
Yes.
The one that you agree with. And that's a tough one.
It is tough, and it shouldn't be that tough because all you're looking for is help, you know?
I think it's difficult because there's a lot of elements. You have to be in sync with the person you're talking to. You have to trust that person you're talking to. Right. You have to like the person's face.
Yes.
You're going to see that person every week. Like, dude, like I cannot, you know what I mean? Like,
yes, your face can't make me upset.
I'm being facetious, but looking for somebody who's a great fit, it's like dating.
Right.
Like you need to keep, and I implore anybody who like has gone to seek help and then gave up because they just didn't find something. You just haven't found something yet. There is someone who will be, I went through 8 doctors when we moved to America.
Really?
Before I found the one that like now I've been with her for 6 years.
Nice.
So it's very hard to find somebody, but I believed in that mechanic analogy. Like, right. I'm going to keep finding somebody who's going to help me.
That's nice. Piggybacking off of you living, a normal life, whatever normal means, you living, your normal life. What are some of your hobbies? Like, what do you like to do for fun?
For fun, we like to hike.
Oh, beautiful.
I love hiking. I love being in or near water.
Yes.
That brings me calm. That's meditative for me. That's
do you like
calming.
Cruise ships?
No.
No, you don't like to be stuck in the on the ship, right? In the water. Yeah.
No. I like going to a lake and jumping into the lake. I like sitting by the lake and just enjoying it, or a fire by the lake or the river or the ocean, or we just went on a vacation to the Great Lakes.
Oh, nice. Is it beautiful?
There is nothing more beautiful than water in nature.
Yes, I agree. Honestly, I love hiking as well, and like, you know, the ocean and lakes and stuff. So yes, I have to get up there then.
Up here?
To the Great Lakes, yeah.
Oh yeah. It's beautiful up there. Any lake, any one of them. We've been to all 5. Yeah, we've been to all 5 now.
Yes.
And they're all beautiful.
And your youngest child, what is she into?
She is into Pokemon.
Is she? So she probably enjoys the hikes because she can catch her Pokemon in all the places that we aren't looking.
We haven't done that Pokemon Go yet. But
okay.
she is that kid.
Yes.
She's that kid that will walk in like, oh, look at this little mushroom. It's a red one. And like, oh, look at this huge thing. And like, she's the I Spy kid.
Oh, awesome.
So, yeah, that's fun.
So your memoir that you're writing, have you named it yet?
No, I have not.
Okay, do you have an expected date of when it will be? When, you know?
I'm hoping sometime in 2021.
Yes.
That's all I can say. I'm hoping. But, well, meantime...
Don't rush it.
But meantime, there's my blog.
Yes.
That people can go to read some stories and like a taste of what you might find in the book.
And where can they find your blog?
It's ameliazachary.com, and my Zachary is spelled a little different. It's Zachry.
Yes, and I'll also leave a link below in the description box for that.
Oh, thank you. And I just wanted to say a couple of things that I think are very important about the treatment.
Yes.
When we talked about treatment earlier, there's this misconception that people with friends don't need therapy.
Yes.
I can talk to my girlfriend and we'll sort it out. Like, you know, everything will be fine. Structured talk therapy with a certified therapist is not chit-chatting with your girlfriend.
Right.
Like, I want people to know that there's a big difference. People always say, my husband was resistant at first. Like, what are we going to do? Sit there and talk to somebody and then he'll tell us something like, why don't we just talk?
Right.
It's not the same because they are trained in guided talk therapy. So they know, they know what we're thinking errors. And so, okay, for example, one of the things that I do is CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, which is training my mind to recognize thoughts and then affect my behavior in response to it. So let's say sometimes something as simple as like, oh, you look beautiful today, right? Someone says that to me. My mind goes like, of course she says that. What else do you say to somebody when they're dressed up or something, right?
Right, right.
And then my CBT mind comes up and it says, don't minimize that compliment. You are minimizing. That's a thinking error. So now redirect the thought. Oh, she was saying something because she probably actually thought I looked nice.
Yes.
Or even if she didn't, I would never know. So I have to take whatever she said at face value.
Yes.
And those are like methods that we learn in talk therapy.
Yes, and that's a powerful method.
That's one.
Because people do it unconsciously.
It's practice. It's practice, and I practice with my therapist. Every time we talk, she's like, okay, can we just reel it back a bit and come back to that? What you said? Did you hear what you said? And
your girlfriends aren't gonna reel it back for you. The conversation's gonna keep going.
Yeah, because they're not trained to like train your thoughts and help you give you these are tools. It's not a one time like, oh, I'll make you feel okay today. Everything's all right. I give you a hug and a kiss because I love you. I'm your friend. I'm here for you. That's not going to help you have those tools when your girlfriend's not around. Yes. What are you going to do at work? What are you going to do when you're engaging with other people? Right. So talk therapy, I felt, is so undervalued and also a taboo
Yes. It is.
And so I hope people kind of understand that. And the other thing was, some people think that you take a pill and it's the answer.
Right.
And people expect you to be better because you're taking the pill.
And while you say that, I don't know too much about it, only from what, I know from my mother. And the medicine that she had to take like a shot once a month, and she also had to take medicine, and the effects that it had on her, like she would be itchy, she would be sad, she would want to cry out of nowhere. And people just think, oh, well, she took the medicine, she's good.
Exactly. And that's the other thing. You're bringing up another good subject. Not all medicines are good for everybody, but the doctors do their best to try with the best information that they have and the best medication that is available, right? They try to do their best to help you, but sometimes it just doesn't work. This doesn't work for me, but you keep going and you keep trying, and you'll find something that's therapeutic.
Yes. So what would you say to someone who is trying a medication and it's making them really tired? Would you say to continue to talk to their doctor to see if they have something different? What if their doctor is
Absolutely.
Yes? Okay.
Absolutely. Being honest with the doctor is the most important thing. I think people are afraid to think that the doctor thinks that they're crazy.
Yes.
I think I felt that before, because I was so adamant. I was not going to tell them. I'm going to push through because I'm going to be strong.
You want them to see you getting better.
Yes. And that's not what the doctor wants. The doctor is there to serve you. The doctor is there to help you get better. And if you don't give them the information that they need to help you, that's not going to happen.
That is true.
So being absolutely honest with your doctor, I think, is absolutely key.
I think so too, for sure.
My therapist will tell me, like, I'll ask her, like, is this really working? Why am I seeing, like, is this really working? Some days I get frustrated because, like, some things I can't handle. And, like, we are at that, because we've built that relationship. I found somebody that I trust, and we've built that relationship that she knows me well enough, and she can give me advice that I accept because I respect and trust her.
Yes. And that didn't come easy. You said you saw 8 therapists.
Yes.
I just wanted to repeat that, for the listeners, because it's going to, like you said, it's going to take time to find someone you trust. And you definitely want someone that you trust.
Yeah. I like one of the sessions, I didn't even sit through the whole thing. I'm like, oh, excuse me, I really got to go.
Yeah.
Because she was so off-putting and offensive, and she said so many things, and I was like, I am so sorry, but I really got to get out of here.
What did she say to you? Did she just let you go?
She was just like, okay, if that's what you need to do.
Like, yeah, this is what I need to do. I'll see you never.
But also, that's the thing, right? Advocating for yourself. Or if you are someone who knows someone who has mental health issues, it's so difficult to get help by yourself. It's so difficult to, like, reach out and say, I have a problem and I need help. So if you are able to offer help, to at least be an advocate for them or be an ally.
Now, how would that, okay. So let's say hypothetically that I have someone in my life that I'm close to who I feel should go see a therapist just to see what is going on. They don't necessarily see that as being an answer. They're like, I'm not going to a therapist. How can I be a better advocate for them without offending them?
I'll go with you.
Okay.
How about I go with you? I'll sit with you. I'll be with you, and we'll see. We'll see this through together. Let's see what they have to say. And if it's not what you want to hear, then we go look for someone else.
I like that.
Thank you. That's, you know what? My first therapy session, I wasn't even involved. Mm-hmm. I sat there with my boyfriend, my husband. I sat there with him, and he did the whole interview. And he spoke to the therapist, and he said everything, and I just sat there going, yep, nope, yes.
Right.
Because in my mind, I'm not crazy. I don't need this.
You don't want to be there. Right.
No, I don't want to be here. But
he advocated for you.
But deep inside, I knew I needed something.
Okay.
because the way I was living my life was not working. The way I was suffering all the time was not working.
It was exhausting, probably.
It's exhausting. Thinking is exhausting. Like just thinking about normal things is exhausting. And then going to work, the double the strength I need to like get myself to work and then get through the workday. It's very, very exhausting. It's difficult. I'm doing it. And that's the misconception people have about, they don't believe that I have mental health issues because I show up. Most days I show up.
Right.
And there are days that I don't. And of course, now I don't work, so I have more privileges of not showing up because I don't have really places to be other than like I can cancel a play date.
Right. No pressure, right? Like,
yeah.
Seriously. At work, it is a different kind of pressure, and you do have a lot of eyes on you.
Yes.
Trying to pick your brain, like, whoa, hey, how are you today? And what's going on? And, oh, you're being really quiet today. And it's like, okay, just...
Do you want me to tell you I feel like shit?
Right,
no,
you know?
Then don't
like,
ask me.
Seriously.
But being an ally and advocate, being with somebody, I think will be it's a big help if they want it. Nobody wants unsolicited advice.
Right.
I think that makes it difficult. That makes them want to push people away. But I think if someone was talking to you, in my experience, when someone was speaking, I was talking to my friends and I said like, I don't know, man, I think I need help. That would be a good cue for the friend to jump in and say, I'll go with you. What do you need? What do you need? How can we do this? And then looking for a doctor, like I was not able to Google and like, it was overwhelming for me. It was overwhelming for me to read reviews and look which doctor and how far away are they from me. And like all this information became like overwhelming overload for me.
Right.
And so it helped that my husband actually looked through them and said, okay, these are these 3 doctors, I think, and helped me make the decision. And then getting there to start is the most difficult, but the most important thing to do.
Yes. I like that. Thank you. That actually helped me out, you know? So
I'm glad.
Yes, I will try that. And if I ever come across any friends who open up to me in that way, I will definitely, you know, be a better friend and be accountable as a friend to make sure I help my friends.
Not just, it's simple. It's being kind, empathetic, non-judgmental. And when you say you're going to be there, be honest.
Yes.
Be honest that if you're really going to be there, don't give empty promises. People, we are already suffering.
Seriously.
You don't need another person to lie. So
right.
I think being a good friend is that, being there, being reliable. And sometimes I don't need anything. Sometimes I need to cry and I want somebody to just be on the phone with me so I don't feel like I'm alone.
Right.
And I don't need someone telling me, you don't need to cry. Everything's okay. Everything's not
okay to cry.
Everything's not okay. Obviously, everything's not okay. I'm crying. I'm upset.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. Yeah. It's like, what's the word? Acknowledge my feelings, you know? Don't just disregard them.
Yes. And
Seriously.
If you don't know what to say, then like the best thing to do is probably just be quiet.
Yes. So, is there anything else you wanted to add or any advice?
I don't think I'm in a place to give advice really to anyone. I think my last words I will give you an excerpt, and I want to say also about my memoir. Yes. And I hope people read it. I hope it gets to more people because it's one of healing and resurrection. I hope to bring readers into my reality as someone who lives through mental illness. And I hope that it gives insight to those who don't have it, and to those who, like me, endure the struggles of mental illness on a daily basis. I hope it gives you hope that there is a way through it all. Let's keep these conversations going so everyone who needs support gets what they need to live the healthy and fulfilling lives that they deserve. For a taste of my musings on everything on mental illness, family, and more, check out ameliazachary.com. And I'd like to leave you with an excerpt from my blog, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Do the raindrops hurt before they slide down the hard glass? Do the droplets cry when they hit the rock to be released and then hit again and by another and another? How do they keep flowing? Every time I'm around water, or if there is a drizzle or shower, my whole self longs for the perseverance and strength and courage to keep moving. In that I find my flow in life filled with rocks I am afraid to graze, but have in many times proven peaceful and sometimes even joyful. I delve in isolation, but the truth be miles from it. All relationships matter. Casual friendships that go by on texts, or friends I see but twice a year at my children's birthday parties, even the brief ones at restaurants I regularly visit. The stores I go to, the cordial neighbors I pass on my evening walks, if only to be a familiar face as a smile for the day. The smiles at the checkout counter, I take them as the soft grazes of water, passing the rocks ever so gently before moving on and separating into foams on the rapids. I reform, and I will find my day. Until then, I indulge in the sweet sounds of water that fill my soul.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
You are so gifted. That was really beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much for being a part of this podcast. I really appreciate it. And thank you for being so open and just willing to talk.
Thank you. You made it very easy.
Misha Madness and Motivation Podcast was ecstatic to have you today. Until next time.